All right, guys, now that you've done the annotations and the planning doc, you're ready to do our pre-writing outline. So you should have this document that I have pulled up from Canvas. So the first thing you're going to do is so we have this all planned out for you, and this is similar outline that you're going to see to other outlines that we'll do throughout the course. But if you will look here on section A is your hook. So remember, a hook is anything that's going to draw your audience in. So think about a question, a quote, a statistic, a shocking fact. So you could ask your audience something like, so how do you feel about fairness? Or tell me a little anecdote about a time somebody was treated unfairly. Or maybe go search for a fact about equality in America or something along those lines. It's going to be able to draw me into your audience. We're going to come back to this attaching sentence in just a second. This is typically how I teach you guys to do this. We do this hook, we do the thesis, and then because that attaching sentence is going to be kind of the glue that keeps us together, so we need to know what's coming first and last to be able to do that attaching. So I have actually already given you a stem that you can use for your thesis statement. So you can take this that I have in yellow for you, and you can copy and paste it directly from here. Take the yellow off and put it into your essay as your thesis sentence. Remember that thesis sentence is going to be the last sentence in your introductory paragraph, so that's what we're doing here. So that thesis sentence is going to be, Nicholas Kristof in the essay What Monkeys Can Teach Us About Fairness claims that blank. This is the only part that I'm going to ask you to fill in your own words. So you're going to tell me what you think it is that he's claiming in his article. What was his purpose in that article for us? The second part of the thesis, typically we only use one sentence for a thesis, so I'm kind of breaking the rules here, so bear with me. We are going to say he achieves this by using pathos and logos to prove his argument. Okay, so that is your thesis sentence. So now we have to think about, once you've filled in that middle part about what the claim is that you think he was making, we are going to take whatever your hook was. So let's say you asked your audience, what do you feel when you're treated unfairly? Then we need to say what we're going to say next. You might say, a recent article talked about different ways that humans and monkeys responded to unfairness. So you're going to give me a little background information on the article is a good way to think about that, okay? So tell me a little bit about the general statement that was made, or maybe the general points that were made in the article, if that makes sense. And then you're going to go, and then you have your thesis sentence already written, okay? And then we're going to start talking about our first body paragraph. Our first body paragraph, we're going to have two body paragraphs. One's going to talk about the pathos argument, and one's going to talk about the logos argument. Okay? So this first one, let's say we're going to talk about pathos. Actually, let's do logos because that's the first in the planning document. So I want you to, in this number 2, I want you to give me a topic sentence. In blue, I've highlighted here some more information to help you formulate that for me, okay? So you're going to start with a transition word, so something like first. And then you're going to tell me about the tool you're going to discuss. So you would say something like, first, Kristof uses logos to prove his argument. That would work just fine. You can use what I just said there, or you can kind of go off on your own and just have that same basic information, okay? And then we have A, B, and C here. Let's jump to B for just a quick second. B is going to be a quote from the op-ed. So if you look here, this is going to be number 3 from your planning document. So number 3 in your planning document, let me see if I can open it up for you. So many tabs. Was this one. What is one example of logos used in his article? Those were one of those purple highlights. So you can copy what you wrote from here and paste it right here, okay? And remember, what you put here should have been copied and pasted directly from the article as well. So you're going to have that now 3 places. So now that you have that quote from the article right here in B, I want you to set up that quote. So here's some things for you to think about. I want you to give somebody some context, which means that you're not just going to throw a quote out there and hope that they know where you're coming from. That would be like if you're jumping into the middle of a conversation with a friend and you have no idea what they were talking about before. So here's where you would tell me a little bit about where that quote was coming from. So if you're going to tell me about how 92% of Americans chose the one pie graph over the other, you're going to tell me a little bit about where that statistic came from. So in a study, blah, 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 that kind of thing, okay? So in a study, he looked at what kind of wage gaps Americans found appropriate. 92%, blah, 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 okay? Then you're going to explain the quote. So how is that quote logos? What is it about that is logos that makes it effective, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So now we're going to go down to our second body paragraph. So here you're going to be talking about pathos now. So you're going to do exactly what you had done before. I'll go back and add this in for you guys when you're looking at yours. I'll have the same, actually I'll just do that right here. Copy and paste that here. But in this case, start with the transition word. And in this case, you wouldn't use first, you might use next, in addition, second, something like that, okay? And you're going to tell me which tool you're going to talk about there. So then you're going to say something like, next, Christoph uses pathos to prove his argument. And if you might want to change that up a little bit. You don't want those sentences to be exactly the same, if that makes sense. And then we're going to do the exact same thing that we did before with our quote. This quote is going to be number 6 from that planning document that was right here. What is one example of pathos? And that's going to be one of your green highlights. So again, you can copy and paste that directly into this quote from the op-ed, okay? And you're going to set it up and explain it just like I talked about with the previous body paragraph. Okay, then we're going to come down to our conclusion. You're going to restate your thesis in different words, okay? So we're going to come back up here. You already have your thesis sentence written, right? What was his claim? Right here. I want you to restate that right there in different words. Think about flipping it around. Nicholas Kristof in his essay, Monkeys Can Teach Us About Fairness, claims that humans value equality. So down here, you could say, humans have always valued equality, and this is something that Nicholas Kristof discussed in his essay. So I've just kind of flipped the idea and changed the words up a little bit so it doesn't sound too repetitive. Then next, you're going to summarize your main points. Your main points are that he used logos and he used pathos, so you're going to want to remind me of that. And then finally, we're wrapping this up. The whole point of this essay is for you to tell me how good of a job he did using those tools to prove his point. So you're going to tell me that those tools are effective in writing, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. As always, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm assuming Ms. Waldrop's going to post this on hers as well, so you can reach out to Ms. Waldrop directly through her office hours or mine, and let us know. This is an essay that we typically spend a lot of time with you guys on in class, so we don't want that to be lost here. So again, reach out to us if you have any questions, and we're happy to help. All right, thanks guys.